YouTube has continued to attack alternative media by demonetizing most of our videos. If you'd like to support the channel, please visit our Amazon store or our Patreon page. Links below. Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Matt Jarbo. This is the Mundane Matt channel, and it is actually with a heavy heart that I report on this news. It's not something I expected to see. It's not something I anticipated would ever happen. And the fact that it did is quite saddening. As you can see here, we're looking at a Medium post from Warren Schaefer, the co-founder of Vidme, saying goodbye for now. Vidme has come a long way as an independent platform, but we couldn't find a path to sustainability. We're building something new. Now, the reason why this is a blow to the creator community right now is because YouTube has had a horrible 2017. It feels like the walls are closing in around everybody. It feels like they're strangling the lifeblood of the community in order to continuously work with people like the large corporations. And they said, screw it to the creators. And then you have a website called Vidme that allowed YouTubers to copy their videos over to the platform, to build a new audience, to go from there. And many people in the commentator, skeptic, ranter, whatever side of YouTube did attempt to make their way over there in order to help bring over an audience. But the problem, and I'll be bluntly honest with you, is it's really hard to serve two masters when it comes to this stuff. It's really hard to have a presence on multiple platforms. Now, people like Dave Cullen, man, he hit that hard. And I gave him massive credit for always being on like the trending page on Vidme. You know, he very much supported the site, and I'm sure this is going to have some impact on him, you know, and everything else. And I had trouble with it myself just because I produce so much content on YouTube, and I didn't feel that Vidme provided me the ability to manage my time appropriately. Meaning, if I wanted to copy a video over, I could do it, but then it would automatically publish it. I couldn't private it, so then I could add the thumbnail and then schedule out a release. I couldn't automate things like to what worked for me. The way that I can with YouTube and other social media platforms. So I just found myself not using it. However, I was always wholly supportive of the platform as a competitor to YouTube, especially this year. And maybe, you know, maybe part of it, well, no, I'll take responsibility. You know, me being a champion of it, but then also still not actively using it is a bit hypocritical. Right? But at the same time, everyone here, we all run our own businesses. We are trying to sustain and live our lives, and we have to go where the money is. We have to go where the audience, where the crowds are, where the platform is, and that is YouTube. That wasn't Vidme yet. But everyone was hoping that they would get there. Everyone was hoping that they would be able to figure it out. And for the most part, it felt good, like they were on the right track, especially a few months ago when it came out that they received $6 million in funding. And everyone's like, oh yeah, man, they're working on it. But this is a goddamn shocker. So it says here that after careful consideration, the Vidme team has arrived at the difficult decision to suspend Vidme's site and apps effective December 15th at noon Pacific Standard. We'll use this blog post to explain what this means for users, how we got here, and what's next for us. Now, what this means is that there's no new signups. Existing videos will be playable and exportable until December 15th. Otherwise, they will be permanently deleted. All paid channel subscriptions will be suspended immediately, and subscriber-only videos will be exclusively accessible by their video owners. So that's, yeah, if you had like a subscription-based channel on there, which I know people who do, you're going to have to go get that taken care of. All Vidme paid subscriptions will cease as of today, and subscribers will no longer be billed. So at least they're cutting it off now and not trying to hold it till the end to squeeze any few more shekels out of people. So that's good on them. It says here why we started Vidme. Yeah, we started Vidme in 2014 with the mission of helping the next generation of entertainers find their audience and earn a living. Again, I do always feel that Vidme was created with the best of intentions. It wanted to be a competition to YouTube, and this is a year where we desperately need it. And maybe we should have been more wary of what would happen this year on YouTube. 2016 for many YouTubers was like the golden year. It was a great year for earnings and growth and everything else. 2017 has been a mess. We were all hoping that it would get fixed. In some ways it has, in other ways it's gotten worse, but Vidme was a good alternative, just not big enough. And in an age when YouTube needs that alternative, it just, it's really hard for an underdog to get out there. So it says, at the time, YouTube was the only major platform that provided revenue sharing, a system that often neglected creators with small or niche audiences. We are confident we create a new type of video platform, one that was more community-oriented, more transparent, and more equitable to creators. Inspired by Reddit's crowd curation, we also saw an opportunity to improve the experience for both viewers and curators by allowing the community to surface trending content. Given the large market opportunity, video ad spend was $84 billion in the US alone, and the impending shift from linear television viewing towards digital video, we believed that we could create a sustainable platform to accomplish these goals. And it's a lofty goal, but it does feel like it's one that is not out of the realm of possibility. It does feel like that, but again, it's just the audience, man. Getting the audience there, the sustainability aspect of it, that's hard. Because that is where Vidme ultimately lies. Like, we have an alternative, come to the alternative, but bring your audience here. That becomes, difficult when you really start breaking it down. A few people might go over, but unless there's a massive incentive, it becomes... it becomes a huge thing. So jumping down a little further, it says what we learned and why we're moving on to something new. Although we still believe that the world would greatly benefit from a creator-first video platform, we weren't able to find a path to financial sustainability. Here are the major obstacles we encountered in our attempts. And I like this. This is going to give us a little bit of insight into what happened, which ultimately I think would benefit everyone, just for future platform creators, or just us to kind of look at the insides of this and to understand more about it. Monetizing user-generated content is increasingly challenging. Advertisers want to target specific audiences, which means a new platform that doesn't store troves of personal data is at a severe disadvantage relative to Facebook and Google, which combined control 60% of online ad spending in the US. Yeah, and they mentioned that $84 billion earlier. There's a lot of money at stake here. Most advertisers want their ads to complement brand-safe content. Unfortunately, this is a subjective designation, which is difficult to define and enforce. Content, therefore, must be thoroughly reviewed and moderated, an expensive prospect. As YouTube recently learned with the adpocalypse, even a single poorly moderated video can result in a PR disaster and undermine advertiser trust. Exactly. Few advertisers are willing to negotiate direct deals with platforms that don't have enormous scale, meaning ad revenue rates are lower for newer platforms. In turn, there's less overall revenue to be shared with creators, which means creators are less likely to support newer platforms for a sustainable period of time. And that is a big part of a lot of this kind of stuff. It's when you have got to sustain it, and it's like you're trying to find those whales that will keep it coming in, but they have specific restrictions and or they have specific criteria, or they just want the numbers. Ultimately, it's eyeballs on screen, I believe, is what a lot of advertisers want. They know that not everyone's going to buy their product, but they still want them to see it. So it really is going to go where the enormous scale is. And that's ultimately what we've kind of seen here. Now, it says here, although we introduced direct fan patronage as an additional business model, the profit margin was insufficient to cover the high costs of storing and delivering video. That's the whole thing with YouTube. When Google basically kind of like owns most of the damn internet, they know where to store it. Storing and delivering video is becoming less expensive, but remains extremely costly. Videos are often massive files, and making them globally available at any time is expensive. YouTube sold to Google just 18 months after launching, partly because of YouTube's high burn rate, and to this day, it's still likely operating at a loss. And keep in mind, too, just as a point of reference, in the overall pie chart of Google's profits, or which companies make the most money for Google, YouTube ain't number one, even though it's the most popular website on the internet. It's like sixth or something, or it makes only 6% of their income. It's a very small amount. When we launched in 2014, we projected that infrastructure costs would decline due to increased competition in the CDN and data storage industries. While marginal prices have fallen dramatically over the past few years, our aggregate costs still outpaced our ability to generate meaningful income or meaningful revenue. And again, this is probably a big part of why the subscription-based service part of it, would be so good for them. Is like they would get a slice of that, which if they get enough slices, it could equal a whole pie, and then they're able to sustain themselves while creators are still working. See, here's the thing. If Vidme would have benefited greatly from, I think, personally, finding brand managers to seek out creators, and not through and actually seek them out through YouTube or other places, and then work with them to bring in brands to for videos specifically to Vidme, and then they get their cut of that. Like they would get their 10 to 20% or something like that. And the reason why I say that is because that feels like the best way to get the kind of, they get revenue, eyeballs are on the screen. And then if there's an incentive because of brand deals that are paying out better than ad rates on YouTube, people might find themselves making more content there because that is going to be a potentially sustainable thing. There are many YouTubers out there that have brand managers that work for them and they get a percentage of the deals. I myself have been contacted by a couple, never really gelled with anyone, but I am currently speaking with somebody right now. So the whole point there is like finding brand deals that everyone can benefit from. And that might have been something they could have looked at, or something if you are a creator trying to get into this game that you may want to look into. So it says the definition of scale has changed and attracting audiences away from existing platforms is harder than ever. And this, again, this is a big part of it. Like I mentioned earlier, it's trying to bring those people over. A few might actually go, but for the most part, it's going to be difficult. Saying 8 of the 10 most popular apps are owned by Google and Facebook. Both companies also have major apps that continually pull users back into their networks, which is very, very, very true. You see Facebook here has 81% of penetration of the app audience, followed by YouTube at 71%. Then Facebook Messenger is 68%, and Facebook Messenger and Facebook app go hand in hand. Google search, Google Maps, Instagram, Snapchat. I mean, look at all this. Google Play, Gmail, Pandora. I mean, there's a lot there. I'm actually really surprised that Pandora is number 10. To be honest with you. You figure Spotify would have been higher up on that deal. So it says many creators with millions of subscribers on YouTube and Facebook were initially attracted to Vidme's model, but faced difficulty transitioning their audiences from their home platforms. Convincing people to use and keep using a new platform is hard, leaving many creators locked in. Both Facebook and YouTube also actively depreciate content shared from competing platforms. Vidme's social traffic dropped markedly once Facebook began to prioritize its native player. And that is true. Facebook trying to get into the whole game of this whole YouTube or this whole video stuff, they really hate when you post a YouTube link. Like, it really is a thing. So that's something to consider. This is all true. I mean, this is all stuff I've watched, I've researched, and I've seen. And so it's even more disheartening to see it printed from a company like Vidme. It's like, no, they admit, like, it got harder and harder and harder to reach out. Again, back to what I said with the brand manager, have those people contact YouTubers and try to establish like set content that would be only exclusively on Vidme. And do that. I mean, Netflix model works like that. They get the exclusive content. In order to bring people in, you had to give them an incentive. YouNow is doing this new stuff with cryptocurrency. They've got millions of dollars in cryptocurrency that they're going to be giving to creators in order to entice them to come over. That might have been something worth looking into. And I don't like YouNow, but I might end up over there if they offer a good enough deal, and they've been in contact with me. Without a massive captive audience already on the platform, new channels struggle to find immediate growth. As such, creators didn't remain active long enough for us to achieve sufficient network across channels. Lacking a critical audience size, we struggle to attract direct advertisers to offset our infrastructure costs, leaving few resources to spend on product innovation and attracting new audience. See, again, I think it would have been better off if they would have worked with the creators directly and like offered them incentives. Like, you work with us, you do this, maybe we'll offer you stock option, we'll offer you 1% or these stocks or whatever, or this incentive piece or whatever that would then have you, because this is the whole issue here too. And this it really does go out to other people that are working on these kind of platforms. You want to entice the people. You can't just sit there and say we're the YouTube alternative and then be like that. It's great in theory. And again, I was really rooting for these guys, but there were frustrations because there was no incentive for me. There was no incentive for me. It was like, it's one of those things like go to Gab or go to Minds instead of Facebook or Twitter. The incentive there is the same to this. It's if it blows up, you're going to be in a good position. That's if they have the resources and the revenue to further, push it out there. And the creators or the influencers or the what personalities that go to those other platforms. They have to then use their other social platforms to drive that information to their fan base to get them to go there. It becomes the system that after a while, when you're trying to manage Facebook and Twitter and YouTube and Google or Snapchat or Instagram or whatever, it becomes so much to handle. And we don't have personnel to do this for us. If my full-time job was to operate Chris Ray Gun's social media profile, then I could be everywhere because that's how you do it. But it's not my job. My job is to run my channels, plural, and to run everything else on top of the rest of my life. It just became this big problem. I'm explaining all this for the perspective of trying to let people know, like, this is one of the reasons why this stuff kind of failed to connect in the way that it did. And again, I feel really bad, but this is a truth worth knowing in this particular situation. Now it says, although we raised venture funding so we could initially operate at a loss while we grew Vidme's audience, the competitive market changed dramatically over the last 2 years. Most notably, Facebook and Instagram began aggressively soliciting video content and courting video creators, which led YouTube to redouble its efforts to attract and retain creators. Yet not this year, though. See, that was the thing. This year, it all went to hell. This year would have been the time to, like, think outside the box for how to entice creators. And as I previously stated, finding brand deals for them or people who could work out those kind of deals, you know, that would have been a way to go about it. In the face of mounting competition and a moving goalpost for achieving sufficient scale, the timeline for Vidme's sustainability as an independent platform became uncertain. As such, raising additional capital or continuing to operate the platform became untenable. When we started, we knew that we were taking a calculated risk, but in hindsight, we underestimated the speed at which the competitive landscape would change. And it goes on to talk about insights for newcomers here if you want to know, like, what to do, you know, this kind of stuff. You know, that's all for the business side of it. But he goes on here to say, finally, what's next for the team? While we are disappointed to close something that we put so much of our hearts into, we're excited and eager to apply what we've learned to our new product, which we'll be announcing next year. Unfortunately, not every member of the Vidme team will be staying on for the next chapter. So if you're interested in hiring people, here's some information. In the meantime, we're talking with some creator-focused companies that might incorporate our technology and revive Vidme in some new form in the future, which would be good. If they can, you know, if they can almost kind of like Pied Piper this thing and get it off to another company that might be able to utilize it more properly. And they finish up here by saying, thank you. We feel incredibly grateful for the many people who have supported us in our mission over the past few years. Thank you to the early community members whose vital feedback helped improve the Vidme product. Thank you to our teammates who put their hearts into the building a home for the creators of all kinds. We're proud of how much was accomplished by such a small team. Thank you to our friends and advisors. Thank you to our investors. And most of all, thank you to the creators who made Vidme possible. Thank you for investing your time and energy into building an incredible community, for graciously sharing your feedback and constructive criticism, and for delighting and amusing us every day with awesome videos. It has truly been a joy to watch people from all over the world connect, collaborate, and make new friends at Vidme, and we're happy to know that many of those relationships will long outlast Vidme itself. We feel deeply grateful to you, and we hope that you'll join us in our next adventure. Please sign up here if you want to do that, and this link will all be in the video description. So, I know I've kind of ranted on about this for a while now, and everything, and again, I am not happy by any of this. You know, I understand that some might sit there and say, if you supported it, why didn't you use it more? And I think I went through that pretty well during the course of this thing. It's hard to do when you are a single creator trying to run a couple different things. The incentive to go over was not there. You know, not to say they didn't try, that they weren't doing the best that they could, that they didn't put out a good product, because they did. There were some controversies for the trending page and everything else. Or they had been accused, I believe, of deleting a couple more sensitive videos, but it was a good YouTube alternative for storing content that wasn't going to be, you know, that was going to get blasted by YouTube. I mean, if anything, the next company could pick it up as more of an archive state. Right? It's all like, you know, we're archiving this, and then I don't know, or just if they're going to work with creators, you got to give them incentives. You got to give them incentives right now in order to get in there and stay in there. You know, and I've talked to friends of mine that want to do similar things like this, that want to do similar video platforms, and I've told them, and I'll tell you the same thing I told them. because they've come to me about creating content exclusively. I'm like, if you can guarantee me certain things, I will create certain specific exclusive content for that platform. But you have to be willing to, you know, like, it's not going to be me bringing my audience and then maybe one day we'll get paid. If you want me to do this, you've got to, you know, you got to show me the money. It's because that's where it's time is money at this point. And YouTube, despite all its flaws, still allows me to monetize this stuff and be able to pay my bills. And that is where this boils down to. From a creator perspective, the situation with Vidme is sad, because it was good to see an alternative. But from a business perspective, you can look at it and go, yeah, it makes sense. They weren't offering what was needed to build the audience. That 6 million that they got in, they should have done what YouNow is doing. Find a way to incentivize people to come on in. And, you know, I mean, YouTubers, content creators are very much like animals. They're food motivated. If you can give them that cheddar, they'll be there. And it's not a selfish or greedy thing. It's a rational and logical thing, because people need to pay their bills and need to eat. And Vidme wasn't able to offer that. And to some extent, neither is YouTube these days. And I might sound cold and callous and heartless, but I'm being honest. There were reasons where we are where we are. I'm not happy about any of them. But I understand it. And I wish them luck in their next endeavor. And I hope they sell off the platform. And I hope the technology can go to somebody who can utilize it in a better way. I hope it can go to somebody who understands what it's going to take to bring an audience there. And I'm hoping that what they do next also incorporates the same lessons learned. Because they were a good YouTube alternative. They just weren't a long-lasting one. And for that, I just wish them farewell and good luck. Hey guys, that wraps up this video. If you'd like to leave a comment, please do so below. I love to read your guys' input. Be sure to hit that thumbs up button. It really does help me in the YouTube algorithm. If you want to support the channel, there's the Amazon affiliate store, there's PayPal, there's Patreon, there's Bitcoin. And if you're bored and you want something else to watch, check out 3 Buck Theater up here. My name is Matt Jarbo. I will talk to you guys later. Have yourself a wonderful day. Peace out.